All right. Welcome, you guys. This has been a long time coming. Been wanting to interview you guys for quite a while. And I know Richie and I had a phone interview a bit ago. It's like a year ago, maybe.
I think
And
so, yeah.
yeah, because I was writing about California screaming, heavy bands from California. So I got to learn a lot then. I've seen you guys, I think, 3 times. And we've also run into each other at events.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the
So
last one was Alcest and Mono.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
that.
And then were you at the there was another one shortly after that. Um Russian Circles, were you there?
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, 2-piece bass and drums.
Yeah,
That's-
so we're Dread Spire. Obviously I'm Richie on bass and got Errol here on drums.
What's up? Yeah, Errol over here. I play drums in Dread Spire. I'm jealous you guys saw Russian Circles, actually. One of my, Dave Turnkrantz is one of my favorite drummers of like all time. So I saw them when I was like 15 years old, like 18 years ago. But
Wow.
it's been like, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen them. I didn't end up going to that show. I think I was just super tired. I live in Davis, and so making it out can be a little bit challenging. But
yeah, that would be correct.
I think you were sick that day or something, Errol, because I got you a ticket. And Russian Circles is like one of our like big influences and like bands we both love overlap wise.
Yeah.
And so like that's like I think the band I've probably seen the most live, like 5 times.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So I am a big fan of Brian Cook.
Oh,
yeah, same.
Brian
So
Cook.
I kind of follow where he goes. So I've seen him in Botch and in Russian Circles. I've yet to see him in Sumac.
So I saw them when they came to San Francisco last in Sumac. It was a really good show.
Oh my gosh. I cannot believe how busy that guy is.
I think he played in like These Arms Were Snakes too or something.
Yeah,
Brian
that was
Cook,
him.
another great, it's like a not metal as much. I think they're more of like on the indie, like a post-hardcore, but almost indie and experimental leaning. But I was really into that band for a time. So yeah, Brian Cook's a genius. The guy's like a bass god.
Yeah, and he always plays that same beautiful bass. He's real.
Really?
Anytime I've seen him or watched videos, it's that same gorgeous bass. Wow. And I know, Richie, you stick to one bass, right?
I've had the same bass. It's the second bass I've ever had. I've had the same bass since high school. I just kind of know it well, and it knows me well, and it's really comfortable to play. So I think that's kind of like a weird thing in like the Doom and adjacent scenes to have like just like one instrument. There's always like gear acquisition syndrome. So I kind of just, if I find something that works, I stick with it.
That's kind of my style. I don't really chase gear. Some people have to kind of nudge me towards trying something new. Can you remind me what you play?
I play a Music Man from Ernie Ball. I actually got it as a funk bass when I started learning bass, and now it's a Doom bass.
Well, the last time I was at your show in January with Snake Mother,
I
noticed, man.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
good.
I'm looking forward to what they're doing next. I know they're in studio.
They're working on big stuff. They're friends of the friends of the community, and they're just like such nice people and like such incredible music.
Absolutely. Every time I've seen them or interacted with them at all, I just leave feeling like, okay, these are real people on the scene and just so good at what they do, playing that Dunnable guitar.
Absolutely. We were so lucky to be able to like put on a show with them. We were talking about it for a while, and we finally made it happen. It was just like such a special night. So, and yeah, you were there, so you kind of know from the front row how it was.
Yes, and front row, like I pushed my short little self as far as I could get. I wasn't going to miss any sweat. So your bass, I noticed the setup's kind of interesting. What you do with the strings.
Yeah. So when we started, I actually tuned it to drop B. So I just tuned the lowest string down to B. Actually, how it started, Errol and I hadn't really jammed on heavy stuff like this before, and so I just kept tuning the lowest string down half a step. And eventually it got to B. I was like, I'll just stop there. And since then, I've actually switched to B standard, so I can do a little bit different stuff. But that's how we started. So it was just kind of like, I think it was like I think I got the inspiration from one of the Primus albums. They did the same tuning.
That makes sense. Yeah. In Catapult, one of the bands I'm in, everything is in B tuning, and it's just so satisfying as a bass player. I'm like, you want me to do that open? Sure, I will do that all day long. So cool. Errol, how did you get started in drums?
How did I get? It's an interesting story. So Rich and I grew up together, and it was in middle school, and we had some friends we played basketball with, and they were talking about starting a band, and they were like, "Oh, we need a drummer," and like I just lied to them and told them I played drums, and then so there was a drum set in my house. My dad kind of played drums; he always wanted to, so there was like a drum set in his room.
You had touched the drums.
I had seen the drums. Yeah, I'd seen them. I maybe made contact with them at one point, as a kid.
Stumbled against it, bruised your knee.
He actually fell into it one time. Yeah, trying to run around. So like we had practiced, I don't know, like the plans that jam that weekend, and so like the whole week I was like, oh man, I need to do something. So I learned like one drum beat, and we're like 12 or so. We're all terrible, and so they came over and I played that one drum beat. And like, wow, that's amazing, Errol, and that's how I got started. So just fake it till you make it, I guess.
Yes. Well,
the funny thing is, I didn't know that until probably a year ago. I just thought he was like always knew drums since he was like 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah, Richie's friends with those guys that I play, and then Richie and I ended up being, how you bought that funk bass, because we ended up being in a band together in like a blues band or something 5 years later, maybe less than 5 years later. And so, but yeah, that band before was like Uncle Sam with the rocking chairs. It's some stupid name.
Shout out Sam. Shout out Garrett.
Shout out Garrett. Shout out Sam. Yeah.
Our friend Sam is actually the one who got me into bass. So it's like, the good times.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So was he a bass player and you just really liked him?
Yeah. So he was like one of my best friends growing up, and we're still very close, but he showed me Les Claypool, and he had started playing bass. And then when he showed me this one live album for Primus, I can't remember which one. And I was just like, I want to learn how to do that. That is so cool. And just kind of like went from there.
That's really a good start. Les Claypool is, iconic. And he, in my opinion, he made the bass much more central than anyone was doing at the time. I won't share it, but I have kind of a weird little connection to Les Claypool through my grandma. So it's always funny when people talk about it. I'm like, man, yeah, we're all from the Bay Area.
Yeah, he's from the Bay, so that makes sense.
From the Bay Area, yeah.
You said you can't talk about this?
I'll see you guys off camera.
Okay. All right.
I'm not going to spill my grandma's tea, but
I totally agree with you, though. He was like one of the first examples of like forefront bass. And so like kind of like stuck in the back of my head. I was like, I wonder if I'll ever get a chance to do something like that. And then I think for me and Errol, we've always been kind of like rhythm section of bands, or like, kind of like maybe not even primary songwriters. Mm-hmm. And so like, I think both of us, Errol, you can, keep your own take, but I think both of us were really looking forward to that part of this project that we're in. Where we both kind of like, get to really like stand out in a big way.
Yes. It's just the two of you really locked in. I was listening to your new singles just yesterday. at work, they have a big sound system, and I had the classroom to myself to do admin work. So I use that sound system.
Nice.
I let them play, and the rhythmic quality, the back and forth quality of what you guys do, it's tribal at times,
Yeah.
which really pulls me in. That takes me back to like Peter Green, early Fleetwood Mac tribal stuff. You know, I'm a sucker for that, and you really can get that dynamic well when the focus is bass and drums.
Absolutely. We really got to lean into that because that's kind of our thing.
We have no vocalist, or there's not like a key thing that one can latch onto. So it's really important that this is something we find more as we continue to do songwriting, is that the better stuff we come up with is almost it tends to be more tribal, almost like ritualistic, almost like something you kind of lose yourself into, with just like a very solid groove, and something like doesn't need to be complex. It's something that feels more locked in. It's something we're trying to master a bit, but it's interesting you bring up Fleetwood Mac. I'll definitely listen to that more with the kind of a keen ear now. We appreciate that. Definitely, I played it as 2-piece before, and there's definitely, it feels like I have a bigger impact, in the sound design and general, delivery of the music, and also, of course, songwriting as well. It's like, since it's just Richie and I riffing off each other, just the sheer nature of songwriting, just whatever we're thinking of. Whereas if you have other band members, there tends to be more like, oh, there's someone wrote a song, now I need to come in, write my part in, which is still a blast. I've loved that too in the past, but it's just a different dynamic, and it's a lot more, I don't know, maybe impactful is not the right word either, but much more locked into whatever we're doing, I guess.
Yeah, it's locked in, and I think of a lot of the music that I love, especially in the last 10 years or so, that has no vocals. I love vocals. I am a vocalist. I love singing my pretty Snow White stuff, and playing with that. And I love listening to bands like Tooth, and with these gorgeous vocals. Snake Mother's vocals are just make me feel such bliss, and also feel like, oh, I don't think I can sing. No, they're wonderful. But bands like, Russian Circles and Alcest and Mono and Mogwai, and all of these really just rhythm-centered music. It is so tribal and feels so intentional. With Fleetwood Mac, with the early stuff, Peter Green, listen to Then Play On. That's the one that you guys have that dynamic, I think. It's really interesting at your shows because you've just got the drums and you've just got the bass, but with the tuning and the way you guys play off of each other, it's big. It's really, really big.
I think that's one of the advantages, is that, like, I think a lot of times in bigger bands, even 3 and plus, you have to really kind of almost like restrain yourself to not, trip over someone in the band, so to speak. And for us, it's like we have total freedom to do what we want. Errol can do as much as he wants when it comes to fills or like little, side kind of elements, and I can just let myself be huge. I think that's like very, very, key to, like, just based on how we set ourselves up.
Yes. So you guys are obviously Doom, but I say you're also prog.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I mean, like, I'll let Errol pick this one.
No, you can go ahead too. I mean, I feel like at times they're also punk, I feel like
you have punk sensibilities, especially in the drums.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I grew up on. I played, in indie rock and punk bands and stuff. I've never played in a doom metal. That's why I also struggle with doom metal, because I'm not good at playing slow. And so if in our songs, we don't have an entire song that's slow. I just can't do it. I don't know. I always eventually speed it up. So it's something I'm trying to get better at. But yeah, I think that's why I think maybe
got part of this tune low.
Yeah. We got the tune low down. Play slow, I'm working on. So yeah, maybe Richie tries again. We have a couple of songs we played in the past that are like purely slow and stuff, but
But you know what? It's working because with the way that the bass is moving the melody, and those, very intentionally, the melodies move in a cadence that I think is very hypnotic, almost spell-like. So the drumming, I think it's okay. It's what it is. It's when I was listening at work, again, just running through the new singles, I kept thinking, okay, this is making me want to go somewhere. This is making me want to move. There's forward momentum in it. And that really, like, if I were to just put it on my big JVC speakers and just sit there in that sweet spot, it's like watching a movie.
Really. Yeah, we get that comment a lot, especially with the movie comment. And it's funny because a lot of our friends and family like aren't really into metal, and so they're kind of like, what is this? Like, they don't really understand it, but they like it. Mm-hmm. And I hesitate to use the word aggressive, and I think a more appropriate word is that our music has a energy of determination.
I like that determination. It's very intentional and it's going somewhere. I think there's purpose in the movement of the melodies, and that's just backed up by the drums. It is very much storytelling without words.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's cool that you picked up on that, because that very much goes into the writing process. And I think that's actually one thing that kind of makes us stand out a little bit from our community is that, like Errol said, like we're very to the point and we're very concise. We don't really, sit in on like the classic, 10-minute doom songs, which I like that stuff, but that's just not really where our music kind of travels to.
Yeah, there's movement, lots and lots of energy. And I think doom, just putting it in the realm of doom, is because, it's heavy.
Yeah.
So it's clearly doom, and you have heavy breakdowns. But the reason I was saying prog is because it does feel like storytelling, a little bit of that happening there. And that, to me, prog was what, I was basically breastfed on. Prog is, prog is very much about drawing the listener into what's going on. It's not just...
Oh, interesting. That I can see that now that you explained it.
Yeah, you're experiencing it,
We tend to default to just calling ourselves sludge because it's kind of like, in between punk, hardcore, and doom. And like, I'm very, very influenced by doom. And so that's kind of where that comes in. But, prog is an interesting way to look at it.
And the sludge, I get it at moments, but I might challenge that thought because the melodies and the way that the tunes of the songs move are they're joyful amongst being heavy. And when I think of sludge, I don't think of that as much. There you have definitely sludgy moments, which brings it back to being doom. Mm-hmm. But there is a joy in the music that is coupled by the heaviness, and to me that's life.
Yeah, it's pretty funny actually. You mentioned the joy part of it because, like I said before, it's like but definitely an energy of determination, and I would probably expand that to say like almost like hope. Like there's like a hopeful, like we're in this dark place, but there's some kind of trajectory out of it.
Yes,
a lot of the stuff that kind of comes up with our songwriting kind of feeds off of that. And I think the funny part is that like we're playing this like extremely heavy music, but our friends commented in one of our first shows, it's like, you guys are like smiling like you're in the happiest place ever on stage. Like, it's not very metal, but it's so accurate. We're just like having so much fun, and like again, it's like that joyous, hopeful nature of some of the parts of the music.
Well, and I definitely recognize that because every time I've seen you guys, it is it's so uplifting. It's the audience shares in your joy for sure. They lock into it.
I think that's what we really connect with, is that like we're just having so much fun with it, and we're like honestly just blessed to be able to like play that for other people and they like it. When we did this kind of project started for ourselves, we just wanted to play this type of music. Like this is music, we would listen to. And it's kind of cool that we get to share that with others.
Yes. And you guys are doing a lot. I would love to hear about the journey from when you started during COVID, right?
one thing that I mentioned before I forget is one of our secrets, I guess. I'll kind of gush on Errol for a second, but those melodies that you mentioned, Errol actually comes up with a lot of those. And then
Nice.
I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then Errol sings something to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. Let me do that.
I don't know.
That's
The fact to which you can articulate that is also wild, but
that's kind of where it comes down to. Like, again, when we started, like we didn't really have like a motive. We just were like, hey, like we're in this like apocalyptic kind of place in life. The world almost seems like it's ending. We don't know what's going to happen. I think we should play some Doom. And so we just kind of started jamming on that. I got a fuzz pedal. I had like almost no pedals at that point. Now I have like an army of pedals. It's crazy. I got a fuzz pedal, and then like everything took off from there. We just started jamming on some heavy stuff. I think Serpent King was one of our first songs that we wrote, maybe like third or fourth or something. And so that was, from years ago. And so, yeah, we started jamming, every so often whenever we could, and then eventually building it up. And then eventually like we started recording demos just for like the sake of like sharing with friends. And then they were like, hey, this is good. We're like, okay, like why don't we try like an open mic or something? And Arrow found like an open mic in our hometown of Davis, G Street Wonder Bar, open mic. Shout out to all those dudes. And we went and we played like 2 songs we had. And the response was like so good that we're like, hey, maybe we should like actually do like a proper recording and like try to book some shows. And I'll never forget the way that my friend described it to me when we started playing. This was like, like a random open mic where it's like all kinds of like singer-songwriters and like not really necessarily metal focused. And so when we started playing, he just told me like everyone at the bar just like stopped and looked and was like, what the hell is that? And like in a good way, they were just like, so like, whoa, what is going on?
That's what you want. You turned heads.
Yeah. So that felt really good. And we're like, we should keep this going.
Yeah. So the Doom coming, I've shared this before, so I'll keep it really brief. But I really feel like what we went through during COVID and the uncertainty and isolation, people needed an answer. And post-COVID, people have continued to want to express that and to want to listen to things that encapsulate those feelings we had. And
Absolutely.
I've compared it to, actually my dad compared it to what happened musically after Vietnam.
Oh.
You went from the shining happy people music to some pretty dark, heavy stuff. And, my dad being a young adult during that time, he recognized that movement towards, like Black Sabbath and more of these heavier things that were coming out of it. And he viewed it very much as a response to what, the first publicly in color live televised war.
That's a really interesting parallel. I didn't even think about that.
I think about it all the time, and I feel like the further we get from 2020 and 2021 and that whole era, I'm seeing more and more groups that either they were born of that time, they were formed during COVID as a response, like you guys are talking about, or they came back to music during that time.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are living in the benefit of that. Anytime we collectively as a nation or a globe or just as a collection of humans, when we universally experience something, there are 2 responses. There's hatred or there's love, and love is art. Music is art. All of these things can come out of that. So it's interesting to go back and look historically what became more accepted and more valued after these tragedies. And I definitely see Doom and stoner Doom and heavy folk alt rock and all of these things, post black metal. These things are much more accepted and desired and sought after.
I totally resonate that, especially the part where you said like it kind of brought people back to it. In my case, like I hadn't picked up a bass in probably almost 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
And then we started jamming together, in 2020, and it was just like a newfound connection with music. And like, selfishly, like for me, it's like a way to have expression, to express my emotions, to like get those out. But I think it kind of morphed into something more community oriented, where it's like we're connecting with, like, there's so many great, just like as like a plug, there's so many great Bay Area doom and sludge bands. They're just like, I didn't even realize before I started going to more shows.
Yes.
It's
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
It's wild, Chrome Ghost and Snake Mother and you guys, and the list goes on of Bay Area centered. Even, Faytooth is from LA, but that whole scene out there, and we get a lot in the Sac area too, and some in the Central Valley, but the Bay Area is just flourishing.
And so many of them started during the pandemic, like, Snake Mother, as we talked to them, they mentioned that they also had that kind of, origin story, so to speak.
Yes.
And like so many of the other bands I talked to, they're like, yeah, like we were just sitting inside and we had a lot of emotions and we wanted to get them out. It was like, that's really similar to us.
Yes. I think everything that ended up on the album that my band put out in December was written during that time, or at least started during that time.
I could definitely feel that when I listened to it.
Oh, thanks for listening.
It's good stuff. That's really good.
We all went through such uncertainty, and I think it's amazing we're here now, and now people can start to tour. You guys been playing a lot. Are you taking a little break right now?
Yeah, so we played a lot of shows last year.
You did.
And like we had two really, really, really good shows this year that we were very happy with, and were like such a special experience. But what we realized is that we weren't giving ourselves enough time to write. And I'm sure Errol can kind of speak more to this, but like when we started, like we were just focused on the fun part, which was like collaborating and like enjoying being two friends that were just writing music. And so we've kind of been prioritizing that a bit more.
Yeah, I feel like also I live in Davis, he lives in Oakland, and sometimes it's not so easy to schedule a jam practice. Maybe Rich is busy one weekend, I'm busy the other. And so when we do find time, I feel like we've just been finding time to practice for a show. And so like if we now turn down shows, that time can be reserved towards songwriting and stuff. So it's kind of disappointing that we have to have this trade-off between the two. But realistically, I think that's just kind of how it is at this point in time in our lives. And yeah, I feel like that's how it is too. I feel like we're starting to really now that we're, I'm sure you get this too when you're in a band, but like the whole thing is kind of like a process and a journey. You start in the beginning and you make music, but the whole time you're still like learning how to write songs with this person. And the more you dig into that, it's like, okay, I figure out what Richie's good at, figure out what I'm good at. And then when we listen more to our songs, you figure it's almost like a mastering some craft. So I feel like we're kind of at that point where we're starting to figure out what stuff works best for us and kind of the stuff we want to write. And so I feel like it's really important for us as a band at this point, now that we've played shows, we're now part of the scene, to really put our best work out there. And so I feel like we're at that point where we're starting to really kind of understand what kind of music we want to make and how to do it. So I think now we're like, okay, take a break from shows and focus on that. So
I think it's really impressive that you guys live far away and you're still able to create these things. That takes such intentionality. Absolutely. I know for me and for a lot of people, it's tricky to keep the good habits of practicing and working on your own. For a lot of people, they're going to put way more into it when they're with their people and feed off of that energy. But you guys are taking it seriously and doing your homework and communicating. It really is so collaborative.
I totally agree with Errol that it's a skill. Like we kind of both view it as it's a skill that we just need to keep practicing. We've I think if I kind of looked at this, I think Errol would probably agree. If we looked at the trend of like what our music sounds like, it started like very doom, very sludgy. And then it's kind of, with the two new singles we released this year, they kind of almost dove into rock a little bit.
They're
like kind of on those sides.
Accessible.
Yeah, way more accessible, especially our song Left Behind. But if you look at our songwriting process, obviously it's hard to get together, but it's weird. It's like our songwriting's slow because of the distance. But then when we do get together, it's almost like a meeting of the minds. Like if you take our song, which has the most listens on Spotify, Endless Empire, I think it's one of our best written songs. We wrote that, I think, in half a day. It just came out naturally. We're just right in the zone. We had all the right things going for us, and we were like full of ideas. And basically wrote it from nothing to like a complete song with minor changes in like 4 hours or 5 hours, something.
And I think part of that too, maybe you could also speak to your own experiences too, Gypsy, but I feel like some of that songwriting comes when you're not thinking too hard too. Like when we wrote that song, we had no expectations for this band, right? Like we're like, oh, we just like to make music and have fun. And like that kind of almost childlike fun made the songwriting process so much more smooth. And yeah, sometimes I feel like I've heard this from so many artists that when you kind of have a intentional mindset, but kind of take away your expectations from the outcome, like the product can be, a lot better. So
some of the best songs come out of just jam sessions.
Yeah,
the emotions flow out of it and the energy. Yeah, that's so cool. I'm really looking forward to what you guys do. The Snake Mother show was fantastic. It was an unbelievable night. There were 4 bands, I believe.
Yeah, so it was us, Snake Mother, and another, friends of ours, Mountaineer. They're like, I guess, post-metal and maybe doomgaze.
Yeah,
that's how they describe themselves. And then other friends from the scene, Atomic Bomb Edition. And, essentially like all the other bands in the scene were like there, just enjoying a night of doom, really.
Yeah, and that was a cool thing is that a band would play and then hang out. No one wanted to leave, and it was packed. I took a friend who hadn't really been to that many heavy doom shows, and I was like, we're going,
I was shocked at how many people were there because, again, there's this trend that's like kind of a little bit selfishly, like I was like prompted me to like make that my birthday show.
Yes.
And so I was like, oh, I wonder how many people will come. Like, I'll just ask some friends to come and there'll be like, a good amount of people, like maybe like 60 or 70 people. But then like people just kept showing up. And I maintain it was because of Snake Mother, but other people said it's because of the whole lineup.
The lineup was so solid. It was so solid. I talked to people the whole night, and it was a really, really mixed, I'd say even split of people who were there for you guys and Snake Mother and the other bands too. But that's what I heard the most.
Yeah, I think that based on what I heard is similar. But like, we ended up like selling out the place. It was like 150 tickets or something sold. It was like absolutely insane. And it was just like a really cool moment to just be like, this community is thriving and like everyone is, really has an appetite for that kind of music.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's great. I think we're in an absolute renaissance for this right now. The amount of shows I've seen in the last couple of years since we've gotten out of the COVID era I've lost count, and I love that. I love being able to say that. You've got the pallbearer shirt on that I almost wore.
Yep. We could have had all 3 of us wearing the same shirt.
I think we should. It's all right.
It's happened before where I've logged in to do a meeting with Scott. We both have the same shirt on. It's hilarious. It's a lot of fun. But I'm going to see Pallbearer when they come around in August with Blood Incantation. So you guys can try to make that one.
I most likely will be there. Definitely we'll shout out our friend Diego, who's like our number 1 supporter and fan. He is like the biggest Pallbearer fan you can find. He's encouraged us to listen to them more, and we've really enjoyed their stuff. He definitely will be there.
Yeah, you can't go
shout
wrong.
Out Diego.
I saw them a couple years ago, about a year and a half ago or so, and we accidentally snuck into their it really was an accident. we ended up in their sound check.
Oh, what?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the venue was really weird, and it was like once you got in, you couldn't get out. It was wild, but we realized, okay, this is just Pallbearer sound check, and they were so nice. The bass player had kind of a Hawaiian shirt on, and after they did their sound check, and the other band was going, someone walked up to him at the merch table and was like, "Man, that's a great shirt," and he goes, "Yeah, here you go." Takes it off, hands it, and goes and puts another one on. Literally gave the shirt off his back to a fan.
That's amazing.
That was really hilarious. But, oh man, they put on a good show. Gracion opened for them. Really, really beautiful work. And they're back in studio, so that's exciting.
Oh yeah, they're such nice guys. And actually, like, it's funny that you bring up Pallbearer because like I just saw them recently, but like not in the States. And I got to hang out with them after the show. I'll mention my friend Chris, who's in a really good Sacramento doom band called Church, CHRCH. He's the guitarist in that band. So Chris is actually the sound guy for a lot of their tours.
Oh, cool.
And
okay.
Chris is actually the guy who booked us at our sax show when we opened for Year of the Cobra.
Oh, nice.
And so it was really, really random, but I happened to be like going on a solo trip to New Zealand at the time. And I just happened to be in Auckland at the exact same time as Paul Bear and Chris. And so I went to the show and like said what's up to them, and then like got a front row seat to Paul Bear. It was like this basement venue with like 40 people in it. They put on like an amazing set. And then like I got to hang out with them after the show because it was the last show of the tour. And we just like such nice guys, like so encouraging, especially like when I mentioned our music, like super down to earth, like really fun, like just like the best guys.
That's amazing. I'm so glad you got that experience. Yeah, back to the t-shirt thing. I almost wore your guys' t-shirt. So the day of your birthday show, you guys had told me you were sending me a t-shirt as a thank you for supporting you guys at the scene. And I remember thinking, what am I going to wear to the show? Oh, it's too bad that shirt's not here. And it showed up maybe 45 minutes before I was supposed to leave.
Wow.
So I was able to wear it to your show. I was like,
so I think we just got the shirts like a week or two before the show. And so it was like I was like scrambling to like send them out with mail to like everyone that's been a supporter for us, like you and then like other folks on Instagram and like, you know, other folks like that. We wanted to like send those out as thank yous. So we did that. I think like even the guy from Keepers of the Low End, who has a really good Instagram page, has always like, you know, really encouraged us to keep going.
Well, it was fun and I love that shirt. I wear it a lot. Yep. So yeah, it was quite a dilemma today. Snake Mother shirt, Paul Bearer shirt, since that's coming up, and that would have been hilarious. Or the shirt you guys sent, but you know, this one out. Yeah, because I mean, I'm there watching all the music, but you know how it is when that's the instrument you play. You're like wanting to record and see, can I do that too? Can I steal that move? You know, kind of thing.
I'm the same way with bass players. I mean, you and I as bass players like instantly lock onto that, but like at every show, that's the way I am. Like, oh, what kind of pedals are they using? Oh, what kind of gear are they using? Like, what are they playing? What are they tuned to? Like, it's just natural.
Well, I get the feeling you guys are working on an album or an EP.
Kind of. Errol probably can explain a little bit better than me.
We're working on something. I feel like Rich and I have always been a bit intimidated by like a full length album, just by the sheer amount of content and just knowing how much work it takes to put out like just even an EP. So I think realistically, I think we'll probably work towards an EP, but along the way, I mean, once again, this is just me riffing, right? I don't know, but realistically, probably release an EP down the road, but maybe with something with like one or two singles along the way or something. Because I think just it's having if we have a full album, like I just know it's going to be years before we get something like that across. But with like with our current songwriting approach and how fast it takes to do things, like I think we could get 4 to 5 really solid songs done, within a reasonable time frame. So yeah, I would say EP. I don't know what you think, Richie.
Yeah, I think along those lines, I would say that like because our songwriting takes a while just because of distance and like life. Like we both have day jobs, and it's like we have other things going on. We both have careers, I would say. Sorry, Errol.
Yeah. Okay.
We both have like other things going on.
I've been real busy today. Okay. So,
you're actually been busier lately than before. So I'm gonna give you that one.
Yeah, strangely.
But I would say that like given that like we didn't really feel like waiting like 3 or 4 years for like 7 songs or something. And so like these 2 songs that we just put out this year, we had been playing them live for a while. I mean, just like we don't really want to sit on these. We kind of just want to record them. Get the experience of recording them. Like I had never been in the studio. And so, like, our EP was all DIY. We just wanted to get something out there.
It's impressive.
We recorded it in Errol's bedroom. Like, I mixed and mastered it. So it's like, okay. But like, we just had to get something out there. And so these last 2, we wanted to really kind of, polish, get something polished. And so we reached out to our friend Greg, who's at Earhammer Studios. He's been in bands like Brain Oil and Deathgrave. He's I think someone called him the Doom Wizard of Oakland. But he does all the so many Doom recordings and is so closely integrated with the scene. Like we had to go through him, and he did an amazing job.
The guy has a Grammy. The guy has a Grammy from producing that one High on Fire, I think.
Oh yeah, I think he was working on the Grammy Award-winning High on Fire album or something.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Studio was super cool guy, by the way. Like the chillest, humble dude ever. Ran into him on a metal show in Berkeley maybe 3 weeks ago. Super cool. I don't even know if he remembered me because he probably just records so many people, so many things. But I was like, "Oh, what's up, Greg?" He's like, "Oh, hey." Super cool guy. And yeah, it was a fun experience. A very, definitely the most high quality recording experience I've had. And his approach was also very interesting too. It almost had a very punk rock approach to recording.
That makes sense with what I heard on it. I was listening. I always listen to the new things that come through on different setups. Try to listen to it in the car and any other stereo that I can get a hold of, at work, or the Raycons and the JVCs, and it's a really quality master.
So Greg was really good at making us sound just absolutely gigantic. And so I was thinking about it, I was like, we quadruple tracked the bass.
Nice.
It was insane. And it just sounded I was like, dang, I wish I could sound like that live. But yeah, so these 2 singles we put out, we just didn't want to sit on them. We wanted to get them out in people's ears. And so I think that's kind of the trend of what we want to keep doing is we want to write songs when we're happy with something, try to put that out there so that people aren't waiting 3 years for something.
Yeah.
It's more I'm
really glad you guys are taking that approach. I think, for me, you guys are good at letting people know what's happening through your social media and keep, for me, that's a really big deal. I love music, obviously. I love all the aspects of what goes into it, the writing, the recording, the mixing, the mastering. And then I'm really appreciative of the way that we can, as musicians, we can connect. And so when I see a band like you guys who are, you're keeping that feed up, you're letting people know what you're doing and what's on the way. It's a conversation. You're keeping the conversation going.
It's totally new to us. I know we've had a lot of conversations about this. It's the whole social media aspect of being a band nowadays is we had zero skills with that, and we kind of had to build that up. But it's it almost feels weird at times. It's you think it's just about the music, just go write your music, but there's so much more to it now where it's engagement. It's, people learning about kind of what goes into your music. It's not just here's a song and just enjoy it. It's that connection with the community.
Yes.
I can't take any credit for this either. I think Richie's 100% the master behind the networking and the Instagram and everything. And I think really honestly amazed me. I've never been in a band with a guy who's just so, because it's not an easy thing to do, to, put yourself out there, communicate, put out content, takes a lot of work. And Richie does it, and it doesn't feel, fake either.
No, not at all. It's very genuine.
Yeah, it feels genuine, because I've seen, people force it, people try to do the whole meme thing. And I feel like Richie does it in a way where it feels authentic and also himself. So I just want to give Richie some props here. For
Thank you.
So good at that.
To be fair, Errol lets me do what I want.
Errol lets me do,
I said no a couple times, but
what I would say is what worked really well is that when we started this band and when COVID started, kind of restrictions started lifting, I started going to a lot more shows just to kind of understand what other doom bands were in the scene, and so I made it a priority to kind of just be out there and I enjoy the music so much I want to go see these shows. And what ended up happening is I started meeting people at the same shows. You'd see the same people.
Yeah.
And particularly,
I'm friends with people I've met at shows that I would have never met otherwise. They're not in the bands. They're people who go to the shows and live an hour from me, and we've connected,
So our Instagram game is really an extension of that community building. And I want to mention someone really specific is our friend Debbie, who goes to absolutely every show. And like, she's kind of the one that kind of introduced me to even a deeper level of the scene. And I kind of refer to her as the Doom Queen of the Bay. She's at every show. Like, she's very recognizable. And she's actually the one that encouraged me to go to Ripple Fest last year. Last year.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes, continue.
So Debbie, shout out to Debbie. She kind of encouraged me to kind of, be more connected with the community. And besides just the Bay, like including Ripple Fest, like we met, I think it's Todd from Ripple Music.
Todd's.
But so he lives in the Bay, but I met him in Austin, just because I was wearing a snake weather shirt. He was like, "What are you doing with that?" And I was like, but big props to Debbie. She's, just such a staple of the community, like is so encouraging to us, and also just like introduces us to so much new music, and is just like such a friendly, like wonderful person. Could not talk about, for this, time without mentioning her.
That's awesome. Debbie Doom. I love it. Well, speaking of Ripple Fest, I was getting updates and little video clips the whole time from my friend who was there, Blake, and then realized you were there. And I think I was texting you guys, like, you guys should try to meet.
Yes. From, was it Blake from iWAS?
Yeah.
So it was like literally, I think like, maybe like 20 minutes after you texted me, I was like looking around, I was like, oh, that's him. And we would have met. It was such an amazing place to like just like be around the same people. I basically like felt like I was with my people. Like we all like the same kind of music.
Your tribe. Yep, that's how I feel. And as a musician and as a woman, primarily I'm going to talk about as a woman, going to doom shows, metal shows is so wonderful for me because I feel so safe.
Yeah.
I've been at other shows, other genres, and not to disrespect them, but doom and metal, a lot of that, the people who are there because they're musicians. Most of the people who go to these shows also play something. They are there to be a part of the music. They are not there for shenanigans. And I have been at some crazy shows. I've seen Botch. I've seen some really, really crazy shows that were absolutely packed. And I'm small and I'm a girl and I like to get as close to the stage as I possibly can. And without fail, if I'm there by myself, and I'm usually not, if I'm there by myself, the men around me look out for me and keep me safe, And I've been to so many shows and, with other genres and even, more rock or country or whatever. And it's not the same. It's just not. There are good people there too, but the dynamics are different. And I've yet to have a problem with someone trying to be inappropriate or make me uncomfortable at a doom show.
Absolutely. It's like, and I think you can especially see that dynamic play out in the pit. At the doom shows, like I don't know, it's just like everyone's looking out for each other, like no one's throwing punches. Everyone's just kind of there to have a good time. Someone falls out, everyone picks them up. There's generally not like a lot of, violent moshing. Whereas in some other genres or bands, state scenes, there might be like literally people throwing punches and like, people have bloody eyes and faces and stuff. It's like, that's not really this scene. This scene's much more inviting.
It is inviting and everyone's there to be a part of it. And they're into it. There was a pit that opened up at your birthday show. That was pretty rad. And
actually, I'll mention that after this, but that's actually also a funny story.
That's hilarious. I remember the friend I brought, he said, I never imagined a pit at a doom show. I'm like, well, yeah, it happens.
The funny part about that was like a lot of our friends, I lovingly call them normies. But a lot of our friends were at that show and they had never really been to many metal shows. And so the pit was very unexpected. Like, what is going on? Oh my goodness. I was like, this is very tame. Like this was going to happen, but this is very tame.
Yes.
We really liked it. It added a lot of energy to the show, but some people were not ready for it.
Yeah, it was really fun. I think for you guys and for a lot of people I've met in this scene, we're all working or we're in school or we're both, you know. And for me, the gravitation towards heavy music, towards doom, it's been a process of, a long time since I was a teen. I've gotten closer and closer to where I'm at now. And I think the more that I learn and study and grow, because I'm in school and I'm a teacher, and I feel like I gravitate more to this kind of music because there is math that makes sense in it. There is movement to it, similar to classical music. There's something that occupies the part of my brain that's hungry for those kinds of things. I know you guys, most of the people I meet in the scene, they're teachers, they're some type of educator, FBI agents, what have you. I play music with one. What do you
really?
Yeah,
oh
I do.
You're kidding. No. that's great.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. So what do you guys do?
You want to go ahead?
I know, Errol, you're on a break from your career, but
I am a break from my career.
I guess I would say career-wise, we're engineers. Errol, I guess you would say you're a bioengineer.
Yeah, I got my degree in bioengineering, so I studied like evolutionary biology, things like that, and then ended up working for a cancer therapeutics company, doing data science and building models for them. And yeah, quit a couple months ago. Try to change things out. Teaching sounds really interesting, so that's something I'm considering. But yeah, Richie, and go ahead, Richie. Richie's also
I'm an electrical engineer by trade, so I work on a lot of like aerospace projects. But yeah, just kind of like it's cool. Like I would say maybe Errol also agrees with this, but like having kind of like the left brain kind of activity for work and then having the right brain activity after work really meshes well. And like for me, like I get to be pretty creative in my job with building things, but it's a different kind of creativity, and so getting to lean into that in music too, like I feel really fortunate. But it's beautiful.
Yes, that is a big deal. I think, for me and most of the musicians I work with, most of the friends I have, we're really hardworking people. We're working some of us multiple jobs, and we're in school, and we're just busy, and getting to put our time into something like that is so important. I am not a person who can sit still. And I kind of wish that sometimes I wish I could sit and, play a video game and really relax that way. I can't do it. So music for me is that outlet. It is that downtime. No matter what the circumstance, if I get to play with my band or with one person or just, play at my keyboard for an hour, it's life-giving.
Absolutely.
Really life-giving.
I think for probably all three of us, like it's such a direct way to get into a flow state and just get lost in it. It's like I have not found anything else that's as, maybe sometimes with my engineering work, but like music is kind of the one that stands out the most.
Yes, and it's still, a highly intellectual thing if you're writing it. And at the risk of sounding like I'm saying it's only in metal and doom that the smart people gravitate to.
It's metal and doom is hard to play.
Yeah. Scott's going to be like, okay, that's enough. But the people that I know that are really active in this genre, they are active in other things. They are, the people, the women in Snake Mother, they all have really interesting jobs. It's really fascinating to see how that plays out. For me, the further I go in my education, because I'm back in school again and teaching, the more I want to be on the bass, on the keyboard, when I have a minute. But the other thing is the discipline of it, the discipline of making it happen.
I would say that's the strength of the community. One observation I have is kind of just, and again, me kind of like not really being integrated in the community when I started listening to Doom and then becoming more familiar. I was surprised at how much diversity there is. Just whether it's diversity of job or like background. Like, there's obviously artists, there's visual artists, there's engineers, there's scientists, there's educators, there's like the whole realm of people, business people. There's, for me being a Punjabi Sikh, there's other people that look like me, even though there's not a lot, but, from all kinds of backgrounds. Errol's Turkish American and his parents came from Turkey. My parents came from Punjab, India. And so we have that kind of like unique kind of perspective, but there's also like a lot of queer people in the community, trans people. Like, it's just kind of like, I think that's what really makes it strong, is that you have all these different directions that people are coming from. And you get to have this like really like unique kind of like flavor that gets not every band's all the same. Like, all the bands we kind of play with, there's all have their own unique little twist when it comes to doom. Like take Snake Brother, for example, and their vocals and their writing, it's kind of its own thing. Our stuff is kind of its own thing, and so many other examples of that. But like, everyone's kind of coming not just from the same place, and you just feel like you got like 10 bands that all sound the same. It's like, I have a hard time finding 2 bands that sound the same, in our scene.
Yes, and I, again, as a woman in the scene, I just appreciate how safe I feel, how much I fit in. And you mentioned, the queer and the LGBTQ. When I started working with Clean Silver Stoner and Monster Riff a year ago, I really started to get to peel back some of the layers to it. And I've been working on a piece that'll come out eventually about the diversity of the scene.
That's awesome.
And how refreshing that is. And I think it's only going to become more so. Where I teach, I have I teach in adult education, and I connected instantly with a new student who is, wasn't too sure how she would connect. She is trans, and she comes from a background where that's not accepted. And the first day that she came in to finish her orientation, she was wearing a health t-shirt. And I was like,
oh, you Health? Or,
yeah.
I love Health. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great band.
Yeah. And so that started that instant connection. And I found a very easy way to let that student know, hey, you got a little community here. I see you. And that was just such a great icebreaker.
It's funny how good of an icebreaker it is. It's almost like the uniform of the Doom community to wear a band t-shirt. I mean, I guess for metal in general, but like I was at the gym wearing a Pelican shirt, and like that started a whole conversation with someone. And now our bands are connected. And it's just like so funny. Like, you could just like, oh yeah, that's my person. Like, they have the same shirt that I like.
Yes, I was we played in. I play a little bit in different bands, and I was playing with my pop punk project. We played a porch event, and I had my gear box, and it has a Manzanita Death March sticker on it, and there, sack area. And a drummer for the other band walked up to my boyfriend and said, "You know that band?" And he's, "Oh, that's my girlfriend's kid right there. You got to talk to her." So that was really fun to just, just the obscure little sticker is sometimes enough for people to go, "Oh, wait a second," It's so much fun.
Yeah,
we got to start throwing our Clean and Sober stickers everywhere.
Oh yeah, I have like one, so I could put it on my bass case. I have like a whole collage of all the bands we've played with.
Yes,
on there.
That's the goal for this wall, all the stickers. So I have to get a sticker from you guys eventually.
Yeah, we'll have to send you one. I'm surprised I didn't give you one at a show, but I'll get you one.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Is there anything you guys want the world to know before we sign off?
I guess, we're busy with songwriting, and we're hoping to get back to shows maybe in the fall timeframe. But in the meantime, check out our stuff on Spotify and Instagram at Dread Spire Music. And we have potentially a radio performance coming up in July.
Ooh,
and so you can live stream that. I'll keep everyone updated on Instagram. Instagram is the best way to get updates on us.
Yes, and I can attest to that. That's been really helpful. Yeah. I think that's absolutely how I learned about the show with Snake Mother. So yeah, I look forward to that live. That'll be really good.
yeah, so we got that in the works. But again, mostly, writing new music and hope to get that out at some point. But yeah, we appreciate all the support from, especially Clean and Sober Stoner. Like when we started, we were just, just two guys trying to make music with, 10 Instagram followers. And Scott, you were very supportive and encouraging. So it's like, it's worked out really nice. And yeah, we just want to thank everyone that's kind of listened to our music and also given us, a vote of confidence. It's been really meaningful.
Awesome. And I'll just say, I think someday you guys should consider a live album.
Oh,
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe the Berkeley show can do so. Let's get there.
Yeah, that would be very cool. I would be into that.
Yes, thanks for the recommendations too. Yeah, Fleetwood Mac. Okay, I'll check that out too. Yeah,
I'll message you Fleetwood Mac, then Play On specifically.
Yeah.
If our next song becomes a 20-minute prog doom, project, that's your doing.
Yeah. We had this one interview, and yeah, we just completely changed the band after.
There are some people who would love me and some people who would hate me for it. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thanks so much, Jipsy. It was great talking to you.
So much. Yeah.
You too. And I cannot wait to see you again and hopefully see you out and about at more shows.
Absolutely.
Thanks.